On Wednesday, President Obama directed federal agencies to immediately begin allowing domestic partners and their children some of the same rights available to spouses and children of employees. That includes child care services and subsidies, expanded family and medical leave and relocation and other benefits. Obama's memorandum covers only benefits that can be extended under existing law without congressional action. Existing law prevented him from taking further action to provide same-sex domestic partners with the same benefits offered to heterosexual married couples. He called on Congress to swiftly pass a measure that would address that discrepancy. It's the president's latest step on gay rights. He's also supported a rollback of the military's Don't Ask, Don't Tell that governs gay service members.
This decision should not have been made without a public vote. It is insane. More cost to taxpayers with no benefit. Government workers and their unions are on gravy trains already. Now they can claim their same-sex friends or their gay partners and get them on the train too. The U.S. has way too many government workers and they have way too many benefits. People seem to forget someone has to pay for all these parasites with hard-earned money that is taxed and given to them for very little accomplishments on their part. The U.S. is becoming a welfare and entitlement country, while other countries are buying strategic things in America and one day will control the good old U.S. of A, and our freedoms will be lost. Try living off derivatives then.
That disgusts me beyond words. What is the justification for being against giving gay couples the same protections for their relationships and their attempts to build lives together and protect each other that straight couples have? Honestly, how can anyone say, with a straight face, that this is wrong? Several companies and even governments do offer domestic partnership benefits, but they require you to prove at least 3 or more of the following. You have lived together for at least 6 months. Both your names are on a lease or mortgage. You have a living will, or power of attorney, that specifically grants your partner visitation rights, as well as the right power to make medical decisions on your behalf. Joint credit card or bank account. Some other shared asset, such as a car, with both names on the title or registration.
I don't understand what is wrong with the Don't Ask and Don't Tell policy. Maybe I just don't understand what has been going on with it, but I don't want to hear people talking about their sexual activities at work. What is wrong with keeping our private lives private? The concept of Don't Ask meant that the employer couldn't ask, which protected the employee. Has the military been asking anyway?
To those that claim this is a taxpayer issue, gays and lesbians do pay taxes. Actually, gays and lesbians pay more taxes as a group. How do I come to this conclusion? Let me explain. Gays and lesbians, traditionally, have more income than heterosexuals. Because gays and lesbians get no tax breaks for being in a committed relationship, they pay single-person taxes for a 2-person household. So no tax break. If the majority of gays and lesbians make more money, don't get marriage tax breaks, and have no children, more deductions, they pay higher taxes. So, where do their tax dollars go? To the same place as heterosexuals go. Parks, libraries, police, public schools, Head Starts, community health, food stamps. It seems to me, those who are protesting the cost of equality are the ones being the most greedy and unfair. Now, I can already hear the battle cry. But we pay for all these people with AIDS. Statistics show that there are more heterosexuals, adults and children with HIV/AIDS than homosexual. The largest group is IV drug users, followed by women and then the African American community. So before someone gets the bug to claim homosexuals cost more, I thought maybe a round of facts might have been in order. For those that state it's about the children in the family, I would encourage you to rethink your agenda. Sterility has never been a considering issue for the heterosexual community in marriage. I am not talking about simply a man who can't produce sperm or a woman who cannot create an egg. What about all the marriages that take place after a woman becomes menopausal? Does she get denied a marriage certificate? Of course not. Sterility is not a question the county clerk asks when issuing a license to marry. Matter of fact, a marriage license has no reproduction clauses built into whatsoever. If you go by the merits of reproduction, any couple who cannot have biologic children of their own should not be allowed to marry, not just homosexuals, as homosexuals are just another form of sterile coupling for biologic reasons. For the purpose of the argument, then couples that adopt should not be allowed to marry either, as it is not their biological offspring. Do you see where the madness in this line of thinking goes? Either be uniform in your disparity of benefits, or simply admit that you don't want gays to marry based on your own personal rejections, not based on a false sense of it's about children.
Homosexuality is sin by God's order. It is not decided by public opinion. Changing societies do not dictate God's standards. Sin is defined by God for us in the Bible. It is the source for what God says is holy or sin. God's word says that homosexuality is unnatural, a perversion, an abomination, fornication, vile affections, and a sin against him. He states any sexual act outside of marriage is adultery, hetero or homosexual. Sex is to be between man and woman within marriage. God's design for natural sexual relationships is part of his plan. Homosexuality falsifies what God designed. Sin means not only rejecting God, but also denying and rejecting why we are made. We need to take that seriously. Sexual sins were rampant in the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. Despite warnings, they refused to repent. God destroyed those cities, and it was recorded as a warning to all future generations. If America keeps giving in to gays, our day of judgment cannot be very far off.
I hate it when someone thinks that they can push their brand of Christianity onto everyone else. I am a Christian, but I don't agree with that last guy. Maybe it is a sin to be gay, but that is an issue between that person and God. Jesus said not to judge for a reason. It's not our job. It sure looks to me like the people who get all worked up over gays are trying to hide something in their own lives. Just because I am straight doesn't mean that I am sinless. These people act like homosexuality is the worst sin ever, but do you know that Jesus never talked about it? That's right, not a word. You would think that, if it is the most heinous sin, that Jesus, who is after all God in human form, would have said something. And even if somewhere else in the Bible it says something, that doesn't make it right to discriminate against gays.
I think that is a perfect question. If being gay is such a bad thing, why didn't Jesus say anything about it? The thing is that even if Jesus had preached against it, that wouldn't change a thing, because the Constitution created a separation between the church and the state. This is a democracy, not a theocracy. Our laws are not made by men claiming to represent God. Our laws are made by the people through their representatives. It would be different if God himself was the one running the government instead of men using God to act like dictators. I think that if God was running things, that he would let gays marry and have the same rights as everyone else. I don't think that God would be cruel just because someone wasn't living the way that he wanted them to.
When I was a young man, I was very homophobic and used to say some pretty awful things which I would justify with the Bible. Over time, God convicted my soul that such hateful thoughts and attitudes were just as bad as racism. You see, God never condones hatred. As to the question as to why Jesus never addressed the subject of homosexuality when it was just as rampant in his day as it is now, the answer is found in two quotes of Jesus. One in John 3:17 and the other in Luke 19:10.
For God did not send the Son into the world to judge the world, but that the world might be saved through him. For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save that which was lost.
Jesus came to save the world, not to condemn it. His message is one of love, not hate. I hear a lot of people playing the blame game as to who is at fault for the moral decay that has come to America. And I'm sorry to say that the fault lies with the church. That is right, the church. Jesus said, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men to me. But the church hasn't been lifting Jesus up to the world. Instead, we have been preaching about all kinds of things, many things of good nature, but they fall short of the saving power of Jesus. I don't care if it's a Jeremy Wright or a Jerry Falwell. The pulpit is no place for politics. Whether you're a Republican or a member of the Democratic Party makes no difference to God. Those who would equate true Christianity with any political party have corrupted the very saving message of Christ. That is why the world is in such disrepair, and before we start throwing rocks at gay people, we need to make sure that we are without sin. Look, if we really want to bring someone out of anything that we think is sin, we have to introduce them to Jesus and let Jesus do the correcting. Whether they are right or wrong is between them and God and not our place to say. I want to be perfectly honest here. I am not comfortable with the concept of homosexuality and would oppose the state forcing the church to hire gay ministers or perform gay marriages. But that is why we have separation of the church and the state. I feel that by supporting any laws which support discrimination against anyone, we will be doing a disservice to God.